The American flag, so iconic, and so closely associated with the accomplishments of the country that it represents, including its essential involvement in World War II. This video will summarize the entire story in a brief 2-minute span. The attack of Pearl Harbor was a surprise air attack executed by Japan on the prominent military base intended to devastate the U.S. out of the war. This initiated President Roosevelt to declare war on the Axis powers. On the home front, a system of rationing was implemented nationwide in order to conserve our food supply and therefore contribute more to the troops while ensuring America got their fair share. You were provided a set of ration sets periodically in order to redeem food. This was effective and Americans were happy to abide by the policy. A zoot suit is an outfit characterized by a high waistband and the general clothing being very baggy and oversized. The popularity of this outfit among Mexican Americans caused a series of ruthless, violent conflicts between them and stationed sailors. The opposition and attacks were more due to discrimination than a fashion clash. The inexperienced Americans struggled initially, but were able to persevere and trap the Axis powers in northern Africa. They progressed through Italy subsequently after and forced them to surrender by threatening Rome. D-Day was when the Allied forces initially penetrated German-controlled territory through executing aggressive beach landings across the Normandy coastline. The Allied forces struggled initially against the heavy fire from the elevated turret-equipped cement reinforcements that the Germans were operating, but they were able to establish themselves on the beach. As American forces advanced, they were able to contribute to the release and liberation of the Jews contained in the camps. These exposed them to unspeakably poor conditions and inhumane treatment of the Jews that they were forced to endure. Many of the Jews' bodies were so emaciated and delicate that their systems were no longer capable of digestion process and were beyond help. Victory in Euro Day marked a victory for the Allies in the European theater following the explicit surrender from the Axis powers and the suicide of Hitler and the execution of Mussolini. The Battle of Midway was a decisive naval battle that took place in the Pacific. Japan sought to establish exclusive dominance over the Pacific theater, but the U.S. prevailed in an unprecedented victory. Island hopping was a military strategy utilized by the Allies that consisted of progressing from island to island, systematically liberating the Japan-controlled land, prioritizing certain islands over others. Jungle warfare is a term describing the unique tactics required for troops to survive in the harsh terrain of the jungle biome. This included enemies concealed by dense vegetation. Whilst the war was unfolding, the U.S. was developing an innovative technology through the Manhattan Project that would then be unleashed on Hiroshima, as opposed to invasion. Despite the devastating effects of the first atomic bomb attack, Japan refused to surrender, and well, the U.S. retaliated. And after 2 instances of tremendous civilian death at the hands of the U.S., Japan finally opted to surrender, marking an end to the war and a victory for the states. Boom.